Okay, so this is a tutorial on the parts of the brain. So this is a basic tutorial and I want to give you an overview of the different parts that make up the brain. So there's not going to be huge amounts of detail here, but this is just a tutorial to sort of orientate yourself with regard to structures of the brain. So we'll start off by looking at the brainstem. So first of all, I'll just point out what we're looking at here. We're looking at a side view of the brain. Anterior is this side, posterior is this side, and obviously superior and inferior. So you can sort of see the brain, how it sits there. So I'm just going to rotate it around and we'll take a look at the brainstem. So I've just removed some of the nerves to make it a bit more clearer. So the brainstem is this bit here, and it consists of three parts. You've got the medulla oblongata, the pons, and the midbrain. So the medulla oblongata is this bit here, which is most distal or most inferior, and it starts at the end of the pons and it ends where the spinal cord begins. So the spinal cord begins at the opening of the skull at the foramen magnum, and this is where the medulla oblongata ends. So just above it you've got the pons, which is this bit here, and above the pons you've got the midbrain. So what I'm going to do is just isolate the brainstem. So I've just removed all the other structures. We're looking at the exact same view. You've got the medulla at the bottom, the pons and the midbrain above it. So the midbrain is this region here, and it consists of, so at the front you've got these bits which are called cerebral peduncles, and at the back you've got these little sort of hills, and these are called the corpora quadrigemina. And this is Latin for quadruplet bodies, because obviously there's four little bumps. So the top ones are called superior colliculi, and the bottom two are called inferior colliculi. And the word colliculi is Latin for lower hills, because of their appearance. So these colliculi sit on the tectum. So the tectum is sort of the roof of the midbrain. So tectum means roof in Latin. So these corpora quadrigemina sit on the tectum of the midbrain. So the midbrain is this structure here. You've got the cerebral peduncles, and you've got the tectum with the four colliculi. So in the midbrain you've got loads of nuclei. So nuclei are collections of cell bodies which are contained in the nervous system, in the central nervous system, whereas ganglia are collections of cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system. So in the brainstem there's lots of nuclei which are important for controlling functions like heart rate and blood pressure and respiration, as well as things like the level of consciousness and wakefulness and arousal. And then you've got lots of cranial nerve nuclei and nuclei related to the cerebellum, which I'm just about to show you. So I've just switched back to this model and I'll just show you the cerebellum. So the cerebellum is this part of the brain which sits behind the brainstem. So you can see it here sitting directly behind the brainstem, and you can see it has these two lobes. So the cerebellum means little brain in Latin, and this has loads of connections with the brainstem, and it's important in motor control and coordination, balance and muscle tone and that sort of thing. So if I remove the cerebellum, and I'll just remove the hemispheres as well, so we can see the midbrain here, so you can identify them by these the colliculi. So that's the midbrain sitting, and you can see, well, this is the dorsal surface of the brainstem. So the next part of the brain that we need to talk about is called the diencephalon, and this is the part of the brain that sits on top of the midbrain, and it consists of the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and the pineal body, or the pineal gland.